going to move on to the next question, and we're going to swap roles. So if we could go out of the circle, and one of us is standing down. So the roles have changed. This time the outer circle is to really focus on listening and also reflect on how easy is it to listen. When am I losing my attention or thinking of other things? The question for us to discuss is, having heard what it means to be a mentor, what we need to try and do, what's going to be difficult, what's going to be hard about it, what challenges might we face? Okay. So we've got 3 minutes to discuss that.
I've had the experience of being mentored when a lot of things were promised and then weren't given, and I think if the promise hadn't been there, it wouldn't have been a disappointment. I think that has to be expectations have to be managed and promises have to be fulfilled as well.
Yeah, and on that, I think what we heard before was that respect and trust is important. Time commitment is probably equally important, because that is a premise to gaining respect and trust. Trust doesn't come after a 5-minute conversation, it comes with longer involvement with people. And I think quite a few of us will struggle with that.
I think forming a relationship is going to be a crucial part of it, because you can't suddenly get halfway through a project with a student or whatever and then, oh, I'm too busy, I'll put that off. You've got, if you start, you've got to finish, you know. So
I think it's also something about the choice of, pairing up people. Is it the right combination? Does it work for you? Does it work for the student? If that pairing isn't right, it's not working on one side or both sides, what do we do about it? Is there a methodology or some kind of way of changing that? So it's a win-win.
obviously I think you're bound to get personality clashes, just like you do in real life, you know. I mean, it's going to happen. And how do you kind of say, maybe you shouldn't work with me because, or those things will arise, I'm sure.
It's commitment, isn't it? That's what we're coming back to. I think it has to be quite clear at the start what you set out, you can actually deliver that. So if you commit to sort of a day a month, which is what I'm going to do, you know, that you can actually, you've really got to sort of think forward, can I actually really do a day a month, so that everybody kind of knows where they are, rather than, as you said, making lots of promises and then, which I think was maybe a little bit of my experience at university as well, where they were quite good, but I think there was some of that.
I have a person I call my secret mentor, because if he knew he was my mentor, he would... But he's been somebody who's been consistently really helpful, and he's never stepped forward and said that's what he is, but he's somebody I've learned an awful lot from.
I think that's a good point, actually. What is a mentor? You know, I've had somebody that I've worked with for the past 13 years, and not necessarily every day, every month, or whatever, but kind of he's always there if I need to speak to him, either at the end of the phone or email, or actually occasionally getting to see him kind of face to face, because he's quite busy. But I think it makes a huge impact. I think it's easy to focus on the challenges of it, actually. I'm somebody who tends to focus on the more positive aspects, so I try not to dwell too much on the negative aspects and think, well, actually, what can you get? And I think what you get from mentoring somebody is actually a whole lot more than you think you're going to get. You think it's going to be, I'm going to tell them and give them the benefit of my wisdom. Actually, what you get back is you get a whole bunch of ideas and enthusiasm. It reminds yourself, it's like when you have young kids, actually, it just tells you, teaches you that you don't really know as much as you think you do. Well, you don't know the important stuff.
But also sometimes have a champion that you can champion somebody.
Yeah.
And you have a champion somewhere back there. That's just incredibly useful in all kinds of ways.
It's trust as well. It's very much the trust relationship.
Do we ever use the word friendship in mentoring?
I use the word encourage. I think that's what I think it's about, encouraging, because a lot of people lack confidence. That I knew everything when I was 15, and I knew nothing.
I mean, one of my worries with mentoring is where and how and if do you draw a line, and does it become a friendship, or does it stay as a mentor relationship, and what's the difference? I don't know whether it should, or whether it'd be good to, or whether it'd be bad, or whatever. And it's just a concern how far that relationship goes.
It's a difficult one, that, because I mean, you can have a student that may have serious outside problems, which is going to start affecting their work. Now, how close do you deal with the outside problem that's affecting their work in here? And the balance there is a difficult one to handle sometimes.
I'm not sure how useful it is to the mentee if it as well.
I agree.
I think they have friends. What they
So
need
it
is
is,
to
it is a potential problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying,
It's
isn't
not
it?
necessarily a problem, though, is it? I mean, each situation's different. So I don't think you can set out sort of a guideline in stone now. It's just one of those things that happens, isn't it?
I disagree with that. I think it's important to draw a line between. I think mentoring is very different.
For you, but
Yeah.
for lots of people, everyone's different, has a different approach.
I think it depends hugely how a relationship develops. Now, I've got a couple of students who are working in an agency in London now who have become friends since they left the university, because now they're out in the big wide world and you go and have a beer together and all that.
Sure.
Whereas you couldn't do that so much in the teaching environment because you also get the jealousy aspect. If you become really good friends with 2 or 3 of the students, the other students are going, oh, he favours me. You know, you can create a problem yourself by doing it if you're not careful.
I really, really agree with that, and I would add on to that for me, one of the concerns about the model that we're architecting, that we're engineering, is ego. The fact that we have both got big egos, the principal and the dean.
No, I'm quite...
Well, and a lot of our learners are so full of confidence and really believe they've got it, particularly because they've been given an offer at the school. They know they've had to go through so many hoops. And a lot of our mentors will have big egos. We've got some fantastic, creative, multi-award winning, billionaire, entrepreneur type people that have volunteered their time, and these people will come with egos. And for me, one of the things that I'm really keen to discover is how we can help people put their egos to one side and more engage with each other on one-to-one on the same level. And then later we can start to find each other's egos and personalities and maybe form friendships. But that, I think, happens later and naturally and over time for me.
They did it successfully at Live Aid. It was a sign on the door, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And Bob Geldof.
Okay, so we're gonna pause that one there.